This is a perfectly good sack barra. Probably, I'd imagine, from somewhere in the 50s to 60s. And I want to modify it to make it into a bouncy castle carrier. But let's have a little look at it before we do anything to it. So, it's got a little plate on it here. Don't know whether you can see that. Manufactured by something Ilmut. Can't see what the other letter is down there. I think it's Wilmot. Wilmot Trucks Limited. Scott Green Dudley. I was looking for a date. Hopefully there would have been some sort of date tag on it somewhere, but there isn't any. Stuff like this really interests me. I just love things like this because this is nothing but pure quality considering how old it is. It's really heavy, and I hadn't realised it because this has been in my family for decades. My dad gave it to me because I said I wanted a decent sack barra to wield a bouncy castle around, and he said I've got one, and he dragged this out the garden or wherever he got it from, and this is what we've got. It's actually got, however we can see on this side or that side, it's actually got little bearings on the wheels which I wasn't expecting. They're very rusty. That wheel's cracked, but that's alright. So we'll give the bearings a bit of an oil up. We'll give it all an oil up. It's all going to be perfectly fine for what I need it for anyway. And then I need to do a little bit of a modification. So what I need to do is I need to get some plate or maybe some flat bar. Haven't decided yet. And I'm going to weld it on. I'm going to make it wider here, probably about 2 feet in total. I'm also going to make it a bit longer because, as you can imagine, the bouncy castle is all rolled up, and I want to stand it up on there, ratchet strap it to the back of the sack barrel, and I can just wheel it around to wherever I need to put it up. For years, or for not for years, bloody for years, for ages I've just been manhandling it around, putting it on various different sack barrels, and they always just break. So I thought, let's get a nice sturdy one. So that's what we've got. But in order to do the welding on this, it means I've got to mend the welder. Now, this is my trusty old MIG welder. I've got a backup one. I've got a backup stick, or an MMA, as they call it in England here. MMA, manual metal arc. You got in America call it stick welding. I've got one of those as a backup, just in case I can't fix this, which is why I've got some rods here. Don't know whether these rods are going to be any good. They've been sitting outside, not outside, but they've been sitting in here where it gets quite damp. At the moment we're in the middle of summer, so what I might do is lay these out in the sun for them to bake so they're nice and dry, and hope that they are going to work good enough. But anyway, that's not what we're going to concentrate on. So this MIG welder, I bought this off of a mate. I don't know how old it is. As you can see, it's a Zebra. I don't know how you pronounce that. It's made in Italy. I've never been able to pronounce that brand. It's a MIG 160, and it was a very, very good welder. I bought it off a mate. Don't know how old it was. He painted it blue for some reason. It used to be red. And I had a little car garage with a couple of mates. We used to do all different types of things on cars, you know, just general servicing, bits and bobs like that. It was a little start-up business. And before we done that, because I was a welder engineer at the time, fabrication welder, I always used to do little bits, take it to work, weld it all up, try and stuff it in the car, bring it home, and I thought I need a little welder for home, you know, so I can do little jobs at home. So I bought this off my mate, and then I ended up taking it down to the workshop when we started off that little business. And the idea was I was going to be, because I was the welder amongst them, qualified welder, none of them lot were. The idea was I was going to be the one that does all the welding on the cars. You know, you get one coming in for an MOT, it needs a bit of welding, I'll be the welder. I'll weld it all up, happy days. It never got to that because my heart weren't really in it. I like driving plant. I didn't want to give up that job to go and work in the garage. I was just doing that in my spare time, after work, going from my real job to that job, weekends in that job, etc, etc. Anyway, so I sold that, and now this is back home again, and that was more than 10 years ago, and this has been sat now in my garage here for that amount of time. And the reason it's been sitting is because it broke, which is the reason why we've got to mend it. So the reason why it broke, we'll have a closer look in a minute, but the little clamp for the wire feed snapped off, and at that time I couldn't find a replacement, so I decided, well, that's it then. I did try to glue it. When I have a look, I'll show you. I did try to glue it, but I thought that's no good because it didn't work. All the wire kept bunching up. It's got a new gun on it. It's got a new, well, it's not new anymore. It's probably 10 or 11 years old now, maybe more than that. It's been sitting there. It's been sat there with the gun off of it, so it's not going to be any good. It's probably going to have all corrosion and dirt gone inside there. So we're going to have a lot of cleaning to do. we're going to have a lot of. Well, hopefully it won't be too bad. I mean, general good practice is you keep the gun on, so that you don't get dirt and moisture go inside all the connections and all the rubbish. Not to mention there's a brand new spool of wire on it, which is now probably no good. We'll find that out. We'll have a look. So on top of it, we've got a packet of TIG gloves. I used to have a TIG welder here. I sold that because I didn't do any TIG welding here. But I, for some reason, still got a packet of gloves. So they're no good for this. Well, they are. I mean, some people use TIG gloves for MIG welding, but you just burn your hands all the time. I've been there and learned that lesson. We've got a box. I think it's just got, it's very dirty. That's how long it's been sitting around. It's just covered in it. What have we got? Oh yeah, we just got, we got Murex switches for the guns and things, different shrouds and whatnot else in here. Bit of tape, a couple of tips. I've got a bottle key. I don't know why I've got a bottle. Well, I do know I've got a bottle. These modern bottles. Oh, there's me tip cleaners for the burning gear. I needed them the other day for my window wipers. Might keep them out. There's a brand new shroud there. Brand new one. Oh, we've got a whole bag of tips. Anyway, I'll go for all that. Yeah, this used to be full up, but I think at one point I emptied it out for some reason. You can never have enough spares and things when you're doing welding, proper welding. Oh, there's nuts and bolts in here. Right. Resistors. You can never have enough spares because things always break and you just want to get the job done. Anyway, so let's put that down there. We've got this packet of rods, which is for the Oxford welder, but like I say, that's going to be the backup. If I can't mend this and I want to get that done, I'm just going to stick weld it, because I just want to get it done. But I do want to get this MIG working. I really like MIG welding and I really want this old welder to work. So let's have a look to see what's going on inside, shall we? Yeah, so as I say, well, that's the electric cable. So we have got, well, there's the earth. Where is it? Bloody earth cable's got caught up in the torch. What a cock. What a cock. Right, there we go. It all smells damp, so that's not a good sign. Anyway, so this was a brand new torch back 10-11 years ago I got, because the torch that I had on it just gave up. The switch stopped working properly, the gas was never coming out properly, and there's issues with the liner. So I said to myself, let's just get a whole new torch. Sod it. So I've got that shroud on now. Tip. We're going to have to pull all this out anyway, pull all the wire out, pull all this liner out. It's all going to have to come out because, and that's the end of it. There's still wire in there, look, that's not good. Really. I have noticed that the little rubber washer on the gas line, I don't know if you can see the back of it there, the little rubber washer's perished and it's started to disintegrate, so I'm going to need to find a new rubber washer for that, otherwise that will leak. I've got to take the liner out. Anyway, we'll do that later on. Let's have a look to see what the issue is, and it's extremely dirty. which is fine. I don't mind dirt. I'm just trying to show you lot that it has been sitting around for a long time. Now, I was expecting to see some sort of mouse nest and things like that in here, but there isn't, which is very good. The wire has definitely seen better days. There's a dead spider on top of it there. I don't really think this is going to give particularly good welds, but it'll be good enough for testing purposes. We'll be able to see whether it's going to actually feed. There's a box here. Oh, it's actually got wire in it. It's all, you can see where it's all started. It's definitely been wet in there, moist, still glued together though. What kind of wire is in it? Oh, the wire itself might still be good. It's only a small little one. 0.7 kilogram. Little bit of wire. I don't know if is it gasless? No, it's just welding wire. So it's not gasless, which is good. The reason why I say that was, but I did have a gasless MIG about 15 years ago. And I sold that to the mate who I did have the garage with, and he was using it, but I didn't think it was very good. That's why I sold it. But I did know that there was a few wires laying around, boxes of wires. I was wondering if this is one of those, but it's not. It's ordinary wire, which is good because I can use it on this. If it will fit on that spool, it might not fit on that spool. It might. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm not intending on using it. If I really wanted to, I could unwind it and put it on that spool. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, I'm not worried about that for now. Now this was the issue. This is what happened. As far as my memory goes, I was messing around one day doing a little bit of welding, and all of a sudden the wire stopped feeding. So I had a look in here to find out what the problem was, and this had snapped off. This end had snapped off here, and so there was no pressure going down on the little wheel. And yeah, that was that. I did have a look around at the time to see if I could get just a new one of these. You can find plenty of universal whole things, but I don't want the whole thing. I just need the top bit. I don't need all this, I don't need all that, don't need all of this. Well, I might do now, who knows, but I didn't at the time. So I used that Gorilla Glue stuff, and I Gorilla Glued it, and it did hold. It hasn't snapped off yet. But the last problem with it was why I stopped using it after that was, didn't matter what I'd done, didn't matter how much I adjusted this to put pressure on it, didn't matter anything. It's all rusty now, but it obviously wasn't at the time. So you're probably sitting there thinking, well, it's all rusty, what's the matter with you? But it wasn't at the time because it was in daily use. It's just rusty now because it sat there for more than 10 years. Yeah, it didn't matter what I'd done. I put a new liner in the gun, new tips, all sorts of stuff. It didn't matter what I did. It just all kept clogging up, and there was never enough pressure to push it through, and it just was a bit of a nightmare at the time. So I left it, and it sat in the corner, not that corner but a different corner, but it's been in that corner for about a year. It was in a different corner, very wet, very damp, very moist. So we'll have to. I did cheat a little bit, by the way. I got this out the corner the other day, got all the stuff off the top of it, moved it all about, I put it in the middle here. And I thought, I'm just going to turn it on to make sure it turns on. And I turned it on, but the fan on the inside was stuck. It was going really, really slowly. Anyway, turning it off, back on, off and on, off and on, off and on. Now the fan works. It's a bit noisy, but it works. So I have turned it on, so I do know that it turns on. Don't know if it welds, but I know that it turns on. The fan, I need to take the other side off and oil the fan up as well. But anyway, that's as far as I've got with it. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll start from the basics. We'll take the liner out of the gun, clean all the liner, clean everything, and then we'll snip off the old bent part of wire, refeed it. I'm going to have to get a new O-ring for that gas thing. I might do that as well while I'm there, so that I don't forget. And then we'll attach the gun, and we'll see if we can get the wire to feed. If we can get the wire to feed, that's it, we're done, as long as it still welds. But that was the issue, wire never fed. So I've got the liner out. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the liner, but it's brand new. Well, it was brand new back then, it's not brand new anymore. So the liner's out, basically the whole gun's apart now. Got all the tips and the shroud and everything off, liner's out. I'm just going to try and clean it all the best I can, get a little O-ring for that thing, and then we'll put it all back together. So there's a bit of dirt hanging off of it there, but yeah, hopefully. I don't know, personally, I don't know. I never had to, but I don't know any way of cleaning the inside of the liner out. I don't think you can. Obviously, you can't oil it, you can't put any sort of cleaning stuff down it, because, well, then it will contaminate your welds, won't it? But I've never had to in the past, you know. All these years, I've never had to do any of that. Things just worked. So I've got this little box of O-rings. For those of you that watch my other channel will have seen this many times. Hopefully we can find one to fit on there. Now I reckon it's going to be probably them ones there. Let's have a look, shall we? It's a pretty good fit there. Hopefully it's not too fat and it'll actually go on. I'll have to stick a little bit of grease on it to make sure that it doesn't get stuck and rip as we try to screw the gun on. Anyway, job done, hopefully. Right, let's have a look. Let's cut off this. I've got this whole bit here. We'll cut it here where it's straight from there. Let's see if we can get that old bent up bit out of there. Just need to feed the new bit down there. That should come out the other end now, which it has, and we should be able to put that in the little groove like that. Is it in the little groove? Yes. Alright, so that should be, in theory now, ready to go. I have to look at the end of this, give it a bit of a, so I can get a little brush. A little brush. There's a little brush. Let's go. Paint on the end of it. Have we got any air? Oh, we've got some air as well. Give it a little blow out. Right. Let's see what happens. We feed this on. That can go in there. Like that. That needs to go in there. Like that. And it should just screw in like that. It's important that all the connections work, because obviously they tell when you pull the trigger, it tells the actual welder to feed, it tells it to weld, and the electric current has to go through it and everything like that. So let's plug her in and see if she's going to have to do any feeding. So just so you know, because you might not be able to hear me, because I'm going to have to walk all the way over there, because I've got to have the whole line and the gun and everything stretched right out to feed the wire through, otherwise it might not go through. I've turned it on before, it all works, blah 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 blah. So what I'm going to do is put the wire speed on a slow one and keep jabbing it and try and get the wire to feed through until I see it coming out the other end. And when it comes out the other end, I know we're good, and hopefully it'll work. But I want you to keep an eye out. If it starts to jam up here, let me know, will you? Give me a shout, because I won't be able to see it. I just know because it'll probably start making funny noises. Anyway, here we go. Alright, here we go then. got to the end, it started to come out, look, but it made a funny noise and it sounded as if it was starting to get stuck. And now we're all the way through. I don't want it to start jamming up there now, so I'm just going to give it a little bit of a helping hand. And I know some of you are going to go mad. Why are you feeding dirty wire through your nice clean liner? I know some of you are going to say it, but it's not the end of the world, you know what I mean? All I want to do is do a little job. If I do this little job, I'll be happy, and then I'll get a new wire, new liner probably. But I just wanted to see if it's going to work before I go spending a lot of money on this welder. So anyway, now we're through there. Let's put the tip on the end of it and the shroud, and then we'll see if it's actually going to do any welding. Right, I went down to the local welding supplies and they didn't have what I wanted, but they do sell them. They just didn't have it in stock in the shop. So I've ordered them, the bits that I wanted, and hopefully they'll be here in a couple of days. It's a shame because I like to go down and physically buy stuff without having stuff delivered. I don't like having stuff delivered, but sometimes you have to. So it was either that or wait another, I think it was 2 weeks when they have a delivery into the shop. And I could have gone down to the shop and bought it out of the shop then, but I might as well just have ordered it from their website and have it delivered. Anyway, so I thought in the meantime, let's give the welder itself a bit of a clean, because it's quite dirty. I've got a little bit of degreaser in this. Put this there, and we can give it a good spray over. And we can clean it all up. See how well it's going to come up. I might get too much of it. And then the little fins like that. I quite like it looking quite dirty because it looks like it's had a nice life. I like things looking dirty, you know. I like things to look a bit rough and a bit ragged. But there's no harm in giving it a bit of a clean. It's been sat in the corner for more than 10 years. So we'll get a cloth, see how it goes. Right, this would have been red originally, as far as I can gather. The person, I bought it off a mate. Well, I bought it off of my mate's brother originally. Sad really, because I haven't spoken to him for years now. There it is. People lose touch and they don't speak. So it would have been red, for some reason they painted it blue. Let's take off. Well, that one's loose. Right, that one's loose. This one's also loose. I wonder if the others are going to be loose. That one's loose as well. Alright, these bolts are all loose so far. So we might get away with them all being loose. These top ones are. That one's loose. We can take this off, we can have a look at the fan, maybe give it a bit of an oil up. I think, them ones ain't loose. I think I've run out of switch cleaner, so I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to have to use WD-40 on the fan. But that'll be fine. That'll annoy some of you. You should never use WD-40 on a fan. You should never use WD-40 on an electric motor because it doesn't do it any good. It'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. Some lubrication, whether it's from WD-40, is better than none. Slightly bigger one there. That looks like a 10. That is a 10. Get this 10 off. There we go. Now we should be able to see inside there. I was expecting a lot more cobwebs than we actually have. Got to be careful in here because we might have capacitors and other things, transformers that might be charged. Oh, bloody Jesus. And we don't want to be touching any of that because we'll have an almighty zap. But the fan, there's the fan. Oh, that seems quite free now. It certainly wasn't. That was very stuck. But we can put a little bit of PB Blaster in it, because what that will do, that will lube it up as well as cut through any grease and dust. There's loads of dust in there. Got all that dust. The bearings on that fan probably seem alright actually. They're not that bad at all. So we plug her in and turn her on, and we can see what's going on. I reckon we'll be alright. I was wondering if there's any mice nests or anything in here that we don't want in here, but I can't see any. It looks fine, to be honest. Let's plug her in, see what the fan is like now. A little bit squeaky before. Here we go. It's not squeaking anymore, so that's a good sign. Oh, the bearings aren't all that good in there really. And the fan is quite bent. But I don't really fancy touching it because it might open up a whole can of worms. So we're going to leave that as it is. A little bit of a closer look for you there. It's actually not that bad in here. Like I said, I was expecting mouse nests in the corners. Yes? Anyway, I was expecting mice nests in the corners and cobwebs everywhere and spider nests everywhere, but it's actually really nice in here, so that's good.
Really dirty.
It is dirty. It's got a lot of dust in there, but we don't care about that. We're not worried about that. As long as everything works. No, we don't care about that. As long as everything works, that's all that matters.
Oh, what is frowny?
Yeah. So we're going to put this back together now, and then we'll just have to wait for our parts to turn up.
Yeah.
Right. This is the old torch. It's a Euro one, obviously. I bought this brand new, probably from eBay, because 10 years ago I was quite into getting stuff on eBay because I thought it was cheaper, and I realised it's actually not. So the new one, I was just going to get a new liner for that one, but I decided I've got quite a lot of welding projects that I want to do, so I want this to be fully working, so I decided just to get a whole new torch. We've gone for a Parker this time, so hopefully we should all be good. And also I've got a box of wire as well. Right, I've got some new wire because I could hear you lot shouting at me. You lot are all shouting at me, I could hear you. Especially you right back there, shouting and shouting. Why are you trying to use dirty old wire? That's never going to work. It's going to clog up the liner. And even if it does work, it ain't going to give a very good weld. It's all got dust on it. I'll find a use for it. It won't be wasted.
Daddy,
So,
Daddy,
what?
I'm not ever work.
No, that wouldn't have worked. I
It's not ever work.
just wanted it to. I just wanted to try and get it going. That's what I wanted to try and do. But we've
A
invested
new one. A new one.
in a new one.
That's hard. Ow!
Got a new one.
Ow!
Fresh.
Daddy, what do you mean? More. Daddy, I don't know what that means. Not dirty.
This one's clean.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
not be dirty.
All nice and clean and shiny.
Yeah, and not be dirty.
Not dirty, no. Definitely not dirty. We don't want it dirty.
No,
Huh?
my room's like that.
We'll cut the bent bit off of it
Why?
because otherwise it won't go through. Alright?
Oh!
So we cut the bent bit off. Now it's all and now it's
That's my leg!
and now it's straight, but I need to turn this round because it should be coming from the top and not the
Daddy?
bottom. So hang on, let me just turn this round. Look, you're in the bloody way of the camera now. What are you doing? Alright, now we've got a little bit of peace and quiet. Let's stick this through there. I'll give it a clean out with a brush. A little bit of cleaner, so it should all be nice and clean. That should go down there nicely. Just the way it should do. It should go in that groove. Loosen that off a little bit. Don't want it too tight.
Hey, Daddy, come here.
Right. Now I'm doing something at the moment.
Okay. Why up to?
Right, so we're all fed. I've got this shroud off. I'm going to stretch it right out. I'll turn her on. I want you lot to keep an eye and tell me if it all gets tangled up or not.
Daddy, you said turn up.
Right, it's come through the end this time.
Dad?
Of the old gun, or the old liner, whatever the cause was. It was definitely the liner. There's nothing wrong with the gun on the old one. But I just got the hold off because I did. As soon as it come through the end, that's when it caused a bit of trouble before. But now, we're all the way there. So that's good. Right. So I'm going to use this shroud. I was going to put an old shroud on, but I'm going to use this one. Happy days. Right, that's going to be the end of it for this one, but I want to make sure that it works. Now we've got a new gun on it, a new torch even. Not a gun, it's a torch. A new torch on it. I think we've got plenty of gas. New wire in there. And this will be a test to see if your screen still works. That screen's been hanging up on the wall for 10 years. So we'll see if that still works. If it doesn't, well, I'll be alright. It'll only be a little bit. I haven't got anything to weld as of yet. I've still got to go and get the metal I want to modify this. But I thought to myself, I ground off a little bit for an earth. I thought to myself, let's just use this little bit here as a test. So I just ground a little bit off. It's not going to be perfect. I just want to make sure that it actually welds and that the wire still feeds properly and everything like that. So let's see, shall we? Put that on there and see what we get. A bit more wire. The screen's very dirty, can't see a lot out of it. Have to clean that. Right, let's clean my screen and get a better earth. Right, let's see what now. Clean my screen, that's a bit better. forget, it's been a long time since it was used. Right, another thing to try and, well, this was my good helmet. This one was a brilliant one, but for some reason it's not darkening anymore. Don't know why that is. I'll have to try and look into that. I've got this other old one that's been hanging up on the bloody wall now for God knows how long. Look at that in there. I don't know if this one's going to work. I don't want to have to buy another screen. This one was a good one. But then I got this one, so I put this one aside, and it's been hanging up on the wall now. It's absolutely full of dust. It was all full of cobwebs, but I cleaned it out just now from cobwebs. But anyway, I don't know why this one ain't working. I'm really disappointed in that. But oh yeah, look, looks like it's solar powered. I'm assuming is that the sensor up there or the solar power? I bloody can't remember. It might just need charging up. Don't know where you change the battery. I can't remember, man. You know what? I've never ever had one of these auto filters fail, so I wouldn't know how to fix it. When I was welding for a job, I had a speed glass. That was the name of it, speed glass. And it was like an orange one, and that was really good. But it never failed. I used to chuck that in the van, it fell off top of tanks, it fell off of everything. Ladders, the lot. Picked it up, put it on, and it worked. Never failed. So I wouldn't know how to fix one, but I've got these two down here. I'll see if they work. The welder, it does still weld. Obviously I didn't do a lot because it didn't have any darkness, and I don't particularly want to get arc on it, so I left it at that. I'll sort the screen out. I'll go and get the metal I want to modify this sack barra, and then, you know, we'll do a video on that and we'll have a look at that, and you'll see exactly what I've done and why I wanted to do it. But at least we've got a working welder now. Happy days. Just need to get a working screen. And a bit more bad news. This is my old chroma from when I used to weld as a job. Well worn. It's probably the 6th or 7th one I've ever had. But it doesn't bloody fit on my head anymore. It's too small. It don't fit. That used to be quite baggy on my head. That must have shrunk. My head hasn't bloody grown that much. Jesus Christ, look at that. That used to be quite baggy. I used to be able to put that on. It won't go on. I used to be able to put that on over my head and then put my screen over it, and I'd wear that all day long. But can't do it no more. Bloody hell. Do I go and buy myself a new chroma? No, because I don't need the money new chroma, do I? But it's disappointing. They don't fit no more. Thanks for watching, you lot. All the best. Treat everyone nicely, treat people nice, treat people like you want to be treated, and we'll all have a very nice happy life. And I'll see you in the next one when I eventually get to actually doing some welding and modifying my sack barra. Cheerio, you lot.